At 51, Barbara Cook is loving life. She's active in her children's school and her church, enjoys spending time with her family and her dog. But Barbara is worried.
I have two sisters, and both of them have been diagnosed with breast cancer. 10 years ago, my younger sister, she was 35 and was diagnosed, and she died at 36.
Barbara had the BRCA or BRCA test, which looks for a specific gene associated with breast cancer. But only 5 to 10% of women who get the disease have that gene.
My older sister and I have had the BRCA test. We both came back negative, but she still got breast cancer.
Beth Stevenson also worried about breast cancer. A practicing gynecologist, she knows the disease strikes 1 of every 8 women in this country and claims 39,000 lives each year. She had heard about a new one-time test, BREVAGen, that helps predict cases of sporadic hormone-dependent breast cancer, the most common and treatable kind. Doctors swab the patient's cheeks for cells that are sent to a lab to look for genetic markers called single nucleotide polymorphisms, or SNPs.
This was science that came out of the Human Genome Project, and several different scientists then, when that project was completed, went back to their own labs and were able to associate certain SNPs with certain diseases. Specifically, the BREVAGen test uses 7 SNPs that are highly predictive of breast cancer.
The BREVAGen test also considers a patient's family and personal history and her lifetime exposure to estrogen, whether her first period came early, at what age her first child was born, whether she's had breast biopsies or relatives who got breast cancer. Beth Stevenson was intrigued.
I decided to have the test done because I do have some risk factors for developing breast cancer. I was older when I had my first child. My mother developed breast cancer and a great aunt on my father's side. And so I was concerned about it. And it seemed like a solid test that would really help me to determine if I need to do anything more than just my yearly screening exams.
3 weeks later, she had an answer, an assessment of risk for the next 5 years and for her lifetime.
It was good news. My baseline risk of developing breast cancer, my lifetime risk was 20%. And after I got the results back, it went down to 13.
The lab also analyzed samples from Barbara Cook. BREVAGen showed she was at high risk for breast cancer, so Cook and her doctor devised a personalized plan to try and prevent it.
Even a moderate weight loss of 5 to 10% has been shown to decrease the risk of cancer. Other things like increasing antioxidants through dietary changes, exercise, and alcohol cessation or moderation.
Survival rates are better than 95% if breast cancer is detected early, so high-risk patients like Cook might get 2 screenings a year, a mammogram and an MRI.
I did share with my daughter the BREVAGen results, and she has encouraged me to do everything I can to find out more about my options and what I can do for early detection in case it does happen to me.
The diagnosis is so important in this particular cancer because it's so curable when it's found in that early disease state. And so I really try to emphasize to my patients that if we put this plan in motion and we really follow you and increase your surveillance and help you through this process, we can make huge differences in the amount of breast cancer that will be diagnosed and the amount of breast cancer that can be diagnosed and cured.
Over 85% of women who get breast cancer have little or no family history. So doctors recommend the BREVAGen test to any woman over the age of 35 when risk begins to rise.